What's going on, everybody? My name is Christian Hannah, and today I'm going to be reviewing a bunch of movies that I didn't review earlier in the year because I'm fucking lazy. Uh, Although I will say, on one hand, it was also because I didn't have the good computer that I have now, and so hopefully with this I can actually start making more videos and maybe less Hannahcasts. Who knows? But yeah. Today, we're going to be discussing movies like Jackass Forever, Turning Red, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, The Batman, Top Gun Maverick, and Elvis. Sorry, I have a little checkbox here of movies I need to talk about. But yeah, I'm really, like I said, I'm really only going to talk about movies that were released in theaters. Now you're wondering why is Turning Red on there then? Well, apparently Turning Red did get like an Oscar qualifying release right before it hit Disney Plus. So yeah, which was really interesting because I was really wondering if Turning Red was going to qualify for the Oscars next year, and turns out it does. And I'm starting to think unless Strange World surprises everyone, I'm starting to think, considering Lightyear is obviously not gonna win Best Animated Feature, I think it's gonna go. I think best. Well, actually, no. We'll cross that line once we get to that line. Right now, let's talk about Jackass Forever. Now, I'm a fan of the Jackass movies. To be honest, I think they can be really funny. So I will say in some of the previous I will, how do I describe it? It's like I think the Jackass films gradually get better, and a lot of it has to do with like some of the more cultural things that were done at the time that aren't really okay now. Like sometimes back then you would see like Confederate flags, and you know, I don't really think the taxi prank at the end of Jackass 2 holds up very well. It's like, ugh, man. But I think as the Jackass movies progressed uh in time, they started becoming a little bit wiser in not in some of the basically still doing stupid shit while also not trying to be culturally insensitive, which I do appreciate. And it's not like the series is any worse for it because the pranks are and the stunts are still hilarious. I mean, what hell? Look at Jackass, 3D, like that. The whole plane engine stunt is still hilarious. I'm still like, Jesus Christ, how's that not killing anyone? And obviously, I think another great one in that movie was the taser obstacle course, and like that everyone was getting shocked. That's all funny. And then the Jackass movie that everyone forgets about, Jackass Presents Bad Grandpa, I think for a while was the best of the franchise. I feel like it did successfully what was that, what Action Point got wrong, and it was that with Action Point, I feel like it tried to do what Bad Grandpa did, which was intertwining a narrative between all these crazy stunts. And I'll probably even lump in Impractical Jokers the movie alongside that. Although granted, you know, it wasn't as bad as it was in Bad Grandpa. I mean, I liked. Oh no, not Bad Grandpa. Not as bad as it was done in Action Point. Because overall, I still liked Impractical Jokers the movie, but I think what Impractical Jokers the movie and Action Point didn't really do so well was, again, combining the real life crazy pranks and stunts with a narrative. I felt like that was a bit clunky. Whereas in Bad Grandpa, I thought it was used brilliantly. It was a brilliant way of doing that. And that's probably because Spike Jonze was one of the writers, and Spike Jonze is honestly one of the best writers of our current generation. I mean, if you have. I mean, just look at, you know, the movies he's written and directed. What was it called? Like, Where the Wild Things Are, and Her. I mean, those movies have such ridiculous concepts, yet are very personable movies and are very just deep and charming. And so, yeah. And I thought that's something that I thought Jackass Presents Bad Grandpa did successfully. But now we get to Jackass Forever. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of excited for Jackass Forever, but after the Bam Margera firing, I got less excited. Not because they fired Bam Margera, not because of that, because obviously, like, he's causing problems on set, he's not creating a conducive work environment, you gotta remove him. It sucks, but I get it. But the reason why I brought that up is because it made me realize, like, the Jackass guys are getting kind of old. Are they going to really go all out? Like, is it just, like, I don't, because they're out. I mean, hell, Johnny Knoxville was pushing 50 when he was filming this movie. And some of them were over 50 when they were filming this. And so I was like, is it really gonna feel the same? Like, is it really gonna be all that endearing anymore? But thankfully, Jackass Forever proved me wrong. This is, in my opinion, the best of the franchise. This movie is so fucking funny, and that whole thing I was worried about where it's like, they're getting kind of old, is it gonna, like, are they gonna do a lot of the crazy shit? They do a lot of crazy shit, and now that they're older, it now makes me worry about their actual safety more than ever. Because, like, yeah, okay, these guys in, like, their like, their early 30s or something, alright, sure. But, or, like, somewhere like 20s or 30s, like, late 20s, early 30s, it's like, alright, sure. But now these, like I said, some of these guys are pushing 50, and they're doing things like doing, like, a fucking, what was it, like, a marching band on a treadmill, Johnny Knoxville getting his ass knocked down by a bull, and all this crazy shit. I'm just like, gee, granted, I knew they weren't dead, because if they were dead, well, for one, I don't think this movie would have come out, and also we would have heard about it in the news. But, like, I remember when they said, oh yeah, Johnny Knoxville got sent to the hospital a couple times for this movie, and I was like, and, like, once the bull thing came up, I was like, in the movie, when I was watching it, I was like, oh no, this is probably going to be one of those times. And sure enough, it was. And I'm not even going to, I don't know even know if I can really get into some of the really crazy fucking things they do in this movie. All I will say is that there's a stunt in the beginning of the movie, and the moment I saw a snapping turtle pop up, I knew exactly where it was going. I was like, oh, fuck me, no. And I know that, because we have a snapping turtle. I'm not sure if it was a common snapping turtle or an alligator snapping turtle, because we have a common snapping turtle as a pet, and I legitimately figured, oh, fuck, I know where this is going, because there's no way you're, like. And sure enough, it happened. I was like, ah! Like, the funny, this is actually the first Jackass movie I actually saw in theaters, and thank goodness I did, because, again, hearing everyone's reactions was so great. Like, you could hear everyone in the audience going, oh! And all that, and but the one thing that I really always loved about Jackass is that they view each other as family. And it's really sweet to watch, like, it's like, yeah, amongst all these, all these pranks and, stunts, like fucking Johnny Knoxville throwing a soccer ball in Steve-O's face. But they don't get mad at each other because they're that close to each other. Like, and it's that what I love. Like, yeah, the stunts and the pranks, that's what makes it funny. But I feel like the family that they have together, the bond, is what makes Jackass memorable. And honestly, it really reminded me of the good old days of prank culture. And maybe I should make a video about this. I don't know, but I really fucking hate YouTube prank culture. where it's all about, cheating on my girlfriend, prank, like telling her that, I'm cheating on her, or pretending that I'm being an abusive boyfriend, or, yelling at my kid as a prank. I fucking hate those pranks. Like, I was always like, whatever happened to the good old days of just, of sort of like just being like kind of a dick to your friends, but not really being a dick to your friends because they're in on the joke. Like, for the fucking again with the whole soccer ball thing, like, and you see this in the trailer, like there's like Johnny Knoxville just yeeting a soccer ball at Steve-O's face. It's just like, God fuck. It's like those kind of pranks I really miss. I miss those pranks because like they're not emotionally scarring. It's just like everyone's all in the joke. And it's just really nice. It's in a weird way, Jackass is wholesome. And I mean, and apparently, they're gonna do another Jackass series, which I'm just like, one thing I should probably also mention, the young cast. I really liked the young cast, especially who were their names? Like, who were these, like, Jackass Forever. I really liked amongst this new Rachel Wolfson and Jasper and Rachel. I thought those two especially brought so much new energy to the Jackass crew. And again, they're young. Like, they can do a lot, like some of the more crazy stuff that the old guys can't really do anymore, even though they still try to do them. Oh my god. I should also fucking say this. What's his name? Aaron McGeehee. Somebody, like, he needs an Oscar or something, because Aaron McGeehee, out of all the people in this movie, he gets it the worst. He gets the worst treatment out of anyone in this film. And it's so funny every time they screw with him. It's almost like a running gag. Especially, like, again, you see this in the trailer, the scene involving a bear. And I thought, it's, because, like, noticing something in the trailer, I was like, alright, he's probably, like, he's safe. The bear, like, he's safe. Oh boy, was I wrong. I was like, oh wait, that thing that, like, oh shit. I legitimately was like, it's like, I was like, I can't look away, but like, oh my god, there's other shit that happens to him involving, let's just say, sports-like activities that he has to endure. And again, it's just like, and keep, like, whether it be baseball, boxing, hockey, pogo sticks, all of that stuff regarding Aaron McGeehee, I was just like, oh fuck. The pogo stick one especially got me. I was like, god, Still, I've never, like, there out of all the Jackass movies, I've never seen a single Jackass member get picked on so much. Like basically getting the worst end of the stick every time. Sometimes literally than Aaron McGeehee was in this film. Jesus Christ. It was so funny. And it's just hilarious. And from what I can tell, or at least, from some of the news articles that were popping up, it's like they're going to do another Jackass series for Paramount Plus, and I'm really excited for that. I expect the new cast to do a lot more stuff than the old cast, although I still, like, because I'm not going to, how, even Johnny Knoxville said, at this point, I'm not even ruling out Jackass 5, like, he's like, every time we do a Jackass movie, I always say it's going to be the last one, and then it ends up not being the last one. I'm like, you know what? Well, we'll have to see what happens. So even Johnny Knoxville is saying, like, I might as well, like, he didn't say, but he didn't confirm that there was going to be a Jackass 5, but he said at this point, like, every time I've said that this is the last one, it's not the last one. So who knows? I don't fucking know. But yeah, I really loved Jackass Forever. This is right, like, to get people back into the movie theater. Like, just sort of like how Borat subsequent movie film was exactly what we needed to cope with the shitty year that was 2020. Jackass Forever was what we needed, to remind people that the movie theater, of movie theater experiences. I mean, like, and a lot, and there's a bunch of movies that do this in many different ways. Like, with Spider-Man: No Way Home, it was getting people back in the theaters in how, the crowd reactions of seeing these superheroes on screen. It cannot be matched when at home. Or, with Jackass Forever, it's so funny hearing people in the back, like, just hearing everyone around you when you're in the theater watching Jackass Forever, and it was like, oh, and like seeing these people get hurt, and like doing it for the movie audience. I think I'd probably love Jackass more than most people. So yeah, if you have not seen Jackass Forever already, well, it's probably on Paramount Plus, not sponsored, by the way. Go watch it. I think, in my opinion, it's the best out of the entire Jackass saga. All right, now let's talk about Turning Red. Turning Red. This is the newest Pixar film and the third one in a row that was sent straight to Disney Plus, which definitely got the people at Pixar angry, and this whole thing may have been maybe one of the reasons why Lightyear is flopping at the box office, considering 3 Pixar movies in a row going to Disney Plus, conditioning people to expect Pixar movies on Disney Plus. Oops. But like I said, we get to Turning Red. What is Turning Red about? It is about this young girl named May, who is in her tweenage years, and she's experiencing changes as she's growing up, and one of them is that whenever her emotions get too excited, she turns into a giant red panda. Because that makes sense. And yeah. Like, I was honestly kind of excited for this movie, because it's like, I kind of like this idea, especially the trailers looked hilarious. Like, I saw some dumb people online saying, this animation looks so cheap. It's like, no, it's clearly not. Like, I'm sorry, but Panda May in this movie is I would contend, is one of Pixar's most complex characters of all time, in terms of like the fur. Look at all that fur, like, and how thick that fur is. Like, I cannot, like, I'm not even, fuck, I don't do CGI, I don't do animation, and even I'm just like, oh god, that, like, for it to be that consistently good throughout the entire film is mind-blowing. Like, this, like, oh my god. Because, like, you compare that to, like, Sully from Monsters, Inc., like, you can count the number of fur, like, you can count the amount of, fur, like fur strands, like, within a given part of his body. I don't think you could begin to count for how many, hair strands there are on any spot of May. Like, it's just and so yeah, I was obviously very excited for this movie, and I wasn't disappointed. This movie was really, really funny, and one thing I liked about Turning Red is that it really took advantage of its style. Because for the longest time, I've been kind of saying a lot of these animated movies are starting to feel the same in terms of style. Like, Coco and what's one animated movie off the top of my head? Like Coco and Frozen, they feel kind of similar. And it's like a lot of it, like, I don't know. But then you started getting movies like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Klaus, these kind of movies that are more or less trying to break the barrier of what you can do with animated projects in terms of style. And yeah, this is CGI as well, but again, it goes less for a hyper realistic kind of style and more towards like over exaggerated like expressions, body movements, and like different, like, like almost like anime style backgrounds where someone's like, ah, and like all that fun stuff. And it really works in this film's favor. I really like that. Also, I will say, I mean, I don't think it's really, I don't really think it's a spoiler to say this, but like, there's no real bad guy. I mean, well, there's sort of an antagonistic force in this, but it's not really a but it's not a villain. It's not some evil villain. And even when this thing popped up, I thought it was hilarious. It's like, I really like this direction where Disney is going, like with Frozen 2, or what was it called? Or Soul, or Encanto, or Turning Red, where it's like, not every story really has a bad guy. It's just like shitty situations and and how to deal with them. And I really like that. And I gotta say, and I must reiterate, I really like, I really, really do like how stylized this comedy is. Like, this movie really does take full advantage of it. Like, the whole awooga scene. I'm just like, oh, man. And like, it's just a really great coming-of-age story. And like I said, I would not be surprised, unless Strange World manages to surprise everyone, I would not be surprised if Turning Red won Best Animated Feature at the Oscars next year. We'll have to see how, what it holds in store, because Lightyear could get nominated, but I was thinking if any movie was going to beat Turning Red this year, it was going to be Lightyear, but it's not looking like that's going to be the case. So, yeah. Have you seen Turning Red? Let me know your thoughts. Alright, now let's talk about Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Let's first talk about that first Sonic movie, because again, I never really talked about the first Sonic film. I liked it. I thought it was decent. I like the redesign that they had for Sonic. I mean, because, like, I've always kind of questioned with the initial, ugly Sonic thing, which granted was luckily redeemed in some way, shape, or form in another movie. That one Sonic design I thought was very bizarre, because it's like I get the idea of when you're doing a live action adaptation, you need to make some changes. I mean, but I feel like Sonic is not really one of those characters that you can just try to make more realistic for live action purposes. I don't think you can really do that. Like what were some that I think you could have done? Like, maybe Pokemon you could have done that with. As much as I hated that Clifford the Big Red Dog movie, I still stand by, like, the idea of trying to make Clifford look photoreal was the right call, even though I feel like the director did not know how to shoot that thing at all, like how to shoot visual effects at all. But regardless, Sonic the Hedgehog is so far removed from anything we know in real life. And I've heard people go, well, he's technically a hedgehog. It's like, well, yeah, he's a hedgehog, but has a hedgehog ever looked like that before? And I'm just like, or hell, another good way, I've seen a cartoon character be brought into live action in a more realistic way. Actually, a couple of good examples. Transformers and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Those I thought were good ways of adapting the source material, but making it fit this more realistic setting. But you can't really do that with Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog is too far removed from anything we know in real life, so you might as well sort of, like, not, go for realism at all and just make him make him look like a three-dimensional version of the original character, and just sort of go in like loony in a, what was it called, like in a Roger Rabbit sort of way, except he's again three-dimensional. And I thought it worked out. And I thought easily the best part of that movie was Jim Carrey. Honestly, because, like, here's the thing. The movie, for the most part, like, it's okay, but it was very generic. It was pretty generic. And that's probably because, like, I think a couple of things saved it. One, Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey, I feel like, really, I don't, like, granted, as far as I know from Robotnik, this isn't anything like Robotnik that I've seen, but it is Jim Carrey, and he does bring a certain kind of charisma to it. And when you have Jim Carrey doing all these crazy things, it allows the audience to suspend their disbelief a little bit more. And also, I feel like the redesign really helped, because, like, I've heard some people claim it wouldn't have made much of a difference anyway. It wouldn't have made much of a difference anyway, because, it's about the writing that counts. And generally, yes, but the problem, I feel like, is the thing, like, the tone of the movie. I feel like, I don't know how to describe it. Well, for one, I feel like you got a lot more visual gags out of this Sonic character. Like, I'm willing to bet it wasn't just the CGI that they changed. I'm willing to bet that they added a few more like visual gags, like a brrr, like that one scene where he has the ping pong paddle. I feel like because they made him more cartoony and less realistic, they were able to do a lot more visual gags to give him more of a personality. And I feel like that comes across way better when you have this more cartoony design instead of the more realistic, quote, design. And because, like I said, suspending disbelief. Having the character look like this, I feel like I said, it does allow the audience to suspend their disbelief a little bit more. They can get into a little bit more of the wacky shenanigans. And that's one of the reasons why I feel like Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is not only significantly better than the first one, but I think it might be the best video game movie ever made. So, like, previously, I would have probably said Pokemon Detective Pikachu, and I still think it's a pretty good movie. I think mainly it's because of Ryan Reynolds. Like, his personality really really elevated that movie. But the story wasn't all that great. I was like, alright. Sonic the Hedgehog 2, I think it, like, surpasses that. Like, I'm not gonna act like, it's a great, like, it's, I wouldn't say it's quite fantastic levels, although granted, I did see it once in the theater, and I still haven't seen it, like, or actually, story time. I saw Sonic the Hedgehog 2 at my local theater, and I made the grave mistake in going to the, I've made the grave mistake of going into theater number 1. And in case you're new to my channel, theater number 1 at Marquee Cinemas in Pullman Square is ass, because basically, how I describe it. Like, it's the biggest, like, screen in the entire theater, which should be great, except for the fact that the speakers are terrible. It muffles out a lot of the music, and like, certain speakers are muffled, so, like, certain noises and certain, I don't exactly know how it works, but it's like certain noises are very muffly, and it sounds like garbage. especially with this movie that, from what I was trying to hear, had great sound design. But yeah, I'm definitely going to have to rewatch it on Paramount Plus. But what I will say is, taking away from what I experienced, I still like the movie is really, really good. Um, One thing I think helped it is that this time the Sonic crew knew what they were in for. Because with the first Sonic, you know, obviously they were not filming or making a movie with that kind of, like, with that Sonic design in, with the current Sonic design in mind. They had the realistic-ish Sonic in mind, like the ugly Sonic in mind. And it did, like, basically, when you're watching the final film of the first Sonic the Hedgehog, like, you could tell where a scene was probably saved because of the new design. Whereas this time, the writers and director knew what they were going into. They knew that, what Sonic was going to look like what kind of tone, because they knew what Sonic was going to look like going into it, like with this new design, they could do a lot more, crazy, silly stuff. Like, they could embrace the insanity a little bit more. Like, there's a whole scene involving, some Russian bar, and it's not only really fun, it's really funny because they can do a lot more of these crazy things that they didn't really do in the first film. And granted, this is in the trailer as well. But the giant Dr. Robotnik robot, again, it's so silly and so ridiculous, but because they went into this movie with the knowledge of what kind of tone this was going to be, and what designs these characters were going to have, they could suspend disbelief a lot more and have this robot do some really silly things and going all out with the silliness. But at the same time, there are some really nice moments as well. Like, for example, the what was it? The Russian bar scene. Yeah, it starts off really silly and funny, but it ends on a really nice, heartfelt, aw moment. That kind of stuff. And again, because these characters are designed like that, you do feel a little bit more of the emotion from that, because it's like, aw, this little guy's adorable. I don't want anything bad to happen to him. And wasn't and even it's hard to describe, but all I will say is I really, really like Sonic the Hedgehog 2. This was, again, I feel like because they knew what kind of movie they were in for making this film, they were able to, go into the, suspension of disbelief a lot more, doing a lot more crazy things that they probably weren't really able to do in the first film because they didn't have that specific design in mind when making it. And it makes me really excited for what they're going to do with, the future of the Sonic franchise. And like I said, I think this is the best video game movie ever made. So, yeah. On to the next film. The Batman. This was my number one most anticipated movie of the year. I've been waiting for this movie for a long time. I mean, hell, I've been excited for this movie ever since it was originally announced that Ben Affleck was going to write, direct, and star in this film. And obviously he's not anymore. This is a rebooted Batman that, takes place, it sort of like Joker. It doesn't take place in the current DC cinematic universe. This is a completely new universe, which I do like that DC is willing to do this. I like that they, are willing to have their cinematic universe, with movies like Black Adam and Shazam and Wonder Woman and Aquaman, all that fun, and the Suicide Squad, all that fun stuff. But they can also do side stories that they normally wouldn't be able to do, like with Joker and with the Batman. And after so many delays, the Batman has finally come out, And I gotta say, I wasn't disappointed. I love this movie. This doesn't quite crack my top 10 best comic book movies of all time, although I'm not gonna lie, the list keeps getting tighter and tighter with every, with every year. Like, I legitimately, I really need to redo my top 10 best comic book movies of all time list. I should probably do that. But regardless, let's talk about The Batman. The Batman is being directed by Matt Reeves. I believe he also wrote this movie, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just look it up and see if he indeed wrote and directed this movie. Boop boop doop doop. Going to Wikipedia, and it turns out that he did write this. He wrote this along with Peter Craig. And so, yeah. And it stars Robert Pattinson, Zoe Kravitz, Paul Dano, Jeffrey Wright, Andy Serkis, Colin Farrell, all a bunch of other fun stuff. A bunch of other fun actors. And so, yeah. Like I said, I really loved this movie. I feel like out of any, like this truly did feel like this weird, like, how do I describe it? How I think out of any movie out there, like this I should probably say Gotham feels very lived in. Like this is a very for one, the visuals of this movie are fantastic. Like the production designing is insane. The cinematography is phenomenal. The sound editing and sound mixing is fantastic. The score is incredible. I want to know how much visual effects were in this movie, because I think they use like the volume set, like the volume that they used on The Mandalorian in this movie, and I think unlike Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Batman utilized it so well, and it didn't become distracting. And I think how I describe it, it's like the opening of this movie. It feels like classic Batman, and not like Batman as in like pow wow womp, like not that kind of Batman, but like classic Batman in which like it feels like a combination of the Dark Knight trilogy, the Tim Burton Batman movies, and the Batman Arkham games. It has the kind of gritty realism of, it has like the kind of gritty realism of the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, but it also has like the kind of eerie feeling of like the Tim Burton films and the Arkham games, and how they really portray Batman and where Gotham is. Like, this really does feel like Gotham is a fucking horrible city to live in. And, like, there's this whole narration in the beginning of the movie. And the beginning of this movie is really a lot about, how bad the crime is in Gotham. And how you even see things like where it's like, once that bat signal goes up, no one wants to, no criminals want to fucking get involved in that. And there's even scenes that I love where it's like, there's a couple of parts where, like, in the beginning, during that narration, where, the criminals see the bat signal in the sky, and they just look into this dark, whether it's a dark hallway or a dark alley or something like that, they just see the darkness, and they're just like, nope. Even if Batman's not there, they don't want to, the criminals don't want to don't want to take that risk, and like they just bolt and they just run. Like they're like literally running at nothing. And it's like that is the perfect way to fucking open this film. Just showing us like where Gotham is in this. It's so well done. And let me just talk about the cast for a second. Robert Pattinson as Batman is again so good. Like I've seen some people, say he's a little bit too stoic. I don't know. I within the vibe, I'm getting an interesting vibe from this character. I like where I don't know how to quite say it. I just like I feel like it's working for me, this film. But my God, this is one thing I'll also say about the Batman. The Batman also has the best duo between Batman and Commissioner Gordon. Although in this one he's not a commissioner yet. Like between Batman and Gordon yet. Like Robert Pattinson as Batman and Jeffrey Wright as Gordon, they work so well off of each other. I love their dynamic in this. They really do feel like a team. It really does feel like, this movie really does try to make it look like Gordon is like one of the only few good cops in town anymore, and he knows that he can't do this alone, and he needs Batman there. And their dynamic is both like really, it's really strong and sometimes kind of funny the way they work off of each other. I really 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 love that. I really like what they did with Catwoman in this. And again, and they're a lot of things they're doing. Like they do a lot of things in this movie that I haven't really seen from these characters before. And honestly, I mean, yeah, let's talk about hold on, let me make sure. But yeah, let's talk about, cause I saw, obviously, when Zoe Kravitz and Jeffrey Wright were announced as, Catwoman and Gordon, there were obviously people going, oh, why do you need to swap the races? Like, why can't you just make new characters? Blah. And I'm just like, no, well, for one, they're great actors, so what does that have to do with anything? But even then, because of that, we see things from a different kind of perspective. I mean, this movie, in many ways, was kind of ahead of its time. Because even, for example, I mean, not really ahead of its time, because obviously, okay, well, one thing, what that probably wasn't ahead of its time on, but at the same time, it's being addressed, and I like it. It's Gordon is one of the few good cops there, and and seeing him be this really upstanding cop and actually trying to do what's right, and it's again, it makes it feel more relevant. Another thing, and with Catwoman, she brings up, Selena Kyle, she brings up things, how Gotham favors, the rich white man, and it's all the rest of us are just down, or just left to rot, and it's bringing up a lot of really interesting social issues, and there's especially the Riddler's plan. Keep in mind, this movie was filming, I think started filming late 2021, somewhere around the fall of 2021 is when this movie started filming. And so that means, even regardless, the script was already written. Everything was already written and everything was planned. the Riddler in this is what he does. Like, what he does in this movie really fucking echoes January 6th of 2021. And I'm just like, oh fuck, this movie was probably written before that. That's really the whole thing where I'm like, okay, this part was ahead of its time, because there's no fucking way they could have, like, this had to have been in the script before all this was happening. I mean, hell, they were literally shooting before, they were literally shooting this movie before January 6th ever happened. And so seeing this, I'm just like, oh god, again, it's ahead of its time, and I'm just like, oh my god. The action is fantastic. This is some of the best, like, Batman action I've seen on screen. It's right up there with, like, with, like, the Batman fights in Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. The Batmobile chase with, where Batman is, going after the Penguin, I thought was fantastic. Also, let's talk about the Penguin here for a second. Colin Farrell as Oswald Cobblepot. Oh my god. This, like, I'm not surprised as to why he's getting his own HBO Max series, because he's stupid goodness. And it's not even just the makeup, like, everything about him is so unrecognizable. Like, he's so unrecognizable in this role. I'm just like, I don't think he's going to get an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor. But all I'm saying is, I wouldn't be against it, because this is one of the most transformative roles I've seen in a long time. Like, if you had not told me that was Colin Farrell, I would not be able. Hell, if you asked me who that was, I would not have been able to figure out who it was. Like, that he is so fucking good in this film. And also, you have Paul Dano's Riddler, which he was scary. Like, this is one of the scariest Batman villains I've seen, again, because he feels so fucking real, like, I don't, again, it's hard to really describe it, but, he doesn't even set up, like, elaborate traps for people. Like, no, he'll just fucking run up to someone and just beat them to death with a blunt object. And it really is just disturbing, and especially his, like, the usage of the song Ave Maria in this. I'm just like, it is so eerie. And, like, I thought they did it really well. I thought, like, I'm wondering if we're going to see the Riddler in the future, but I don't know. But this is fantastic. And again, would Paul Dano be considered for Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars for this? Probably. I don't know. I think more people would probably be looking more at Colin Farrell as the Penguin. But again, I don't know. Regardless, Paul Dano is so good in this role. And it is a very different, kind of Riddler. Like, I'd say he's even, like, in some ways, probably even more sinister than, like, the Riddler from the Batman Arkham games. Like, this one is just, again, he feels real. He feels like a realistic guy that would do this crazy shit. And I just loved it. I loved what they did with the Riddler in this. I love the Batman. The Batman, I think so far, like, I'm trying to think of what else, before I move on, like, what else are some of the things I really loved in this movie. Andy Serkis as Alfred is perfect. I like his relationship with Bruce is, like, not one I've seen on screen before. This one is very tense. Like not like it's not all sunshine and rainbows like some of the other Alfred, Bruce Wayne dynamics we've had in the future. I mean, we've had in the past. But the funny thing is, even though this relationship between them is tense, like they're dynamic, there is still there's still heart at the center of it all, and and it's something I actually wasn't kind of expecting, because again, with how they start out with each other, it's like, again, it feels like, one wrong move, and it's like, I don't like these. It felt like these two were just barely dealing with each other, but you really do they really do make you understand they still care about each other. Like they still view each other as family. Like they're still, like they're still kind of, like a bit, not sort. I would probably say a little bit bitter towards one another, but there is a family aspect to them, and I really do like that. Otherwise, I really loved the Batman. This is probably, like, so far the Batman is my favorite film of 2022. And we're already halfway into the year, and so I'm wondering, could anything else beat the Batman? Who knows? But yeah, those are my thoughts on the Batman. Next film we're talking about is Top Gun Maverick. Top Gun Maverick. Everyone has been talking so much about this movie. It is blowing up the box office. Like, it's become the first. It has become the first Tom Cruise movie to make $1 billion. Let me look at 2022 worldwide box office. And yeah, Top Gun Maverick has made $1.1 billion worldwide, which is just fantastic. I mean, I wasn't expecting it. And it's like, the reviews for this movie have been so good, I'm wondering if it's even if it may actually get a Best Picture nomination at the Oscars. I mean, it could do that. I mean, who knows? So yeah. Eventually, I finally went to go see Top Gun Maverick, and what did I think? I really liked it. I really liked Top Gun Maverick. I'm not sure, I have to let this sink in a little. I should probably also say this first. I've never seen the original Top Gun, although really, you don't need to watch the first Top Gun to get this movie. I mean, I was able to completely follow it just fine. I really like this film. One thing I really like, obviously, the plane stunts are fantastic. Yeah, the plane stunts are fantastic. I see people going, see, this is why you do practical effects instead of CGI. It's like, oh no, I can guarantee you there's a lot of CGI in this movie. Like, there's this, I think you see this in the trailer, but it's like, you see a plane, like, you see one of the people in a plane, going towards this bridge, and there's like this concrete bridge, and there's like concrete, pillars to help hold it up, and they go to the side so that they can squeeze through a couple of those pillars, and yeah, I can guarantee you that was, like, even if they were flying for real, that bridge was CGI, because there's no fucking way they would ever be allowed to do that. So don't get yourself mixed up. Like, there's CGI in this movie, and it looks great. Everyone gives a very good, solid performance in this. I really like the dynamic between, Tom Cruise and Miles Teller. But it's like, yeah. It's like, yeah, I do really like this film. But like I said, like, it is, somewhat by the numbers in a sense. I like there are some moments where I was like, oh god, like if that's you know, some things do feel pretty tense. Especially, which granted it feels tense because you know a lot of these actors are flying in their own planes, so that helps. But you know, how do I describe it? It's like it does feel like it's been done before a bit. Uh, it does feel like it's been done before a little bit. But again, I feel like the charisma of the actors, the stunts, all that like really helps. The music is also really good. The sound editing and sound mixing is fantastic. So far, I'd say Top Gun Maverick has the best, you know, sound editing of the year in terms of like, you know, sound effects and shit. Like that all is really, really good. Could this get a Best Visual Effects nomination? Probably. Because again, everyone's saying, "Oh man, that's so, like, oh, nothing but practical effects, no CGI to be had." And again, I'm just like, nope. There is a lot of CGI in this movie. Like, so I don't like, but yeah, um, but yeah, I really do like Top Gun Maverick. I still need to let it sit in for a bit. I'll probably watch it again sometime, see what my final thoughts are, but because I'm not as conclusive on this as some other movies on here, but you know, I really do like it, and it's like and that's not a hyperbole. I really do like this movie. In fact, today I'm wondering if I actually said anything about Top Gun Maverick on yep, nope. It looks like I didn't. Wait. Looks like I don't think I did say anything on Letterboxd to help remind me of what's going on. Yeah, I think it's like I said, it's probably because you know, yeah, like I said, it is a pretty by the numbers kind of movie, but it does work. It does work. I don't think I'm head over heels in love with this movie as much as a lot of other people, but again, it's a really good time. And I will say, like, the fact that I made $1 billion does kind of surprise me. Because I'm like, this isn't usually the kind of movie that would make that kind of money. Now, so like I don't know. I think it's a legitimate mystery. Some people are saying, you know, oh, just make a good movie. It's like no, that's not really the case. Like you know, there are great movies all the time that bomb at the box office, like The Suicide Squad. James Gunn's The Suicide Squad was great and it bombed. West Side Story was, I still think, like the new West Side Story, I still think is like one of the best films to come out in the past decade, and you know, and that flopped. So I don't think it has to do with that. I think it's some sort of lightning in a bottle anomaly that we probably just can't figure out as to what, you know, in terms of, you know, why Top Gun Maverick has made this much money and why it continues to have these legs. So again, I don't know, but you know, it is a good movie. It's a really good movie. I just don't know if it's gonna. I don't think it's gonna stay in my top 10 by the end of the year. I don't think it will, but we will have to see. And finally, let's talk about the final film I'm going to be talking about today, Baz Luhrmann's Elvis. This is one I really was not thinking about seeing in the theater, but damn it, the trailers got me. The trailers, because like here's the thing, when I heard that there was going to be like another Elvis biopic, I literally rolled my eyes. I was like, "Oh God, how many how many true story movies about Elvis have we seen?" And it's like, like what could you do with an Elvis movie that we haven't seen over and over again? But man, Baz Luhrmann did find a way to do it, like. Because, like, this, like, it's not only did he find a way to reimagine the story of Elvis, but he manages to reimagine it, for a modern audience. Like, like the cinematography, the editing, sound editing, like the sound mixing, all that is just insane. And I heard one reviewer say this, and I think it definitely applies, and I agree with this one, where it's like, the way this movie is shot, directed, edited, all that crazy shit. It's like, it's like Baz Luhrmann trying to show modern audiences who don't probably like me, who probably don't know much about Elvis and never grew up on Elvis, experiencing Elvis like people experienced him back in the day. Like, people went fucking nuts for this guy, and this movie does the same thing. Like, with there's a whole scene in look, I mean, hell, let me just bring up a clip. I'm probably not gonna, yeah, I'm not gonna play the clip, but yeah, I'm not gonna play the clip, but just so I can be reminded. Actually, I'm probably gonna go to copyright land for a second, so hold on a sec. Alright, yeah, if you want full context, go to the YouTube and look up this clip, Baz Luhrmann's Elvis Hayride clip. And it's from Warner Brothers Pictures, the Warner Brothers Pictures YouTube channel. And once you go to the 55-second mark, it is so insane. Like the camera just goes nuts. There's a high frame rate. There's this electric guitar riffing. It's not in the scene. It's like part of the basic, how I describe it. Like, there's an electric guitar riffing, but it's not. But no one in the movie, but no one in that scene is using an electric guitar. It's being used as it's pretty much a movie sound. The kind of sounds that it's meant for the audience and not the characters in the scene. And the way it's all played, and you see Austin Butler, and we'll get to him here in a second, seeing him just jerking around with all these body movements, it is exactly what a movie what this kind of a movie should do for how do I basically, it perfectly encapsulates how people felt about Elvis back in the day, for modern audiences to feel. And even some of the stuff you hear modern singers there's this modern singers performing some of Elvis's songs as background movie music. I mean, not in the scene, but for the audience, basically for the audience to get invested into the scene. There's a kind of there's a version of "You Ain't Nothing But a Hound Dog" that plays, and it sounds more like modern kind of pop music. But again, shockingly, it doesn't feel distracting. It doesn't, it feels investing into the film, and I'm just how the fuck is this actually happening? This should not work. But Baz Luhrmann somehow had an eye for this. He knew exactly what he was doing when he was making these modern stylistic choices for the film. And oh my god, it's one of the best scenes in the movie, aside from that, hayride clip. The hayride scene. There's a scene where he performs Trouble in front of a crowd, but he was told by police, don't do the wiggle. His wiggling body movements. And the way it's all shot and played out, and and the character of Elvis's expression, being so defiant towards the police, it's so good. And also, let's just talk about Austin Butler. Holy shit. If he does not get nominated for Best Lead Actor for this movie, I'm going to have to assume this is one of the best years we've ever had for the Best Lead Actor category. Because, my god, this is one of the best performances in a musical biopic that I've ever seen. I think he's better than Rami Malek in Bohemian Rhapsody. I think he's better than Taron Egerton in Rocket Man. I think he's better than Reese Witherspoon in Walk the Line. Like, Austin Butler he's so good as Elvis. Like, he nails it. And I'm gonna have a little bit of an unpopular opinion, but I thought Tom Hanks was great in the movie as well. Like, people were comparing him to comparing him to Jared Leto in House of Gucci, and to some degree, I agree with that, but not in the way that you'd think, because my problem with House of Gucci wasn't Jared Leto's performance. I feel like everybody in the movie was trying to act a certain way for a certain, because I feel like watching House of Gucci, it felt like it was trying to be like this more. It felt like it was trying to be this more kind of dark, humorous kind of biopic, but somewhere in the editing room, it just ended up being a very, it went way too serious for its own good. And I feel like, sadly, what everyone would have loved, Jared Leto's performance, but I think, sadly, it just got cut down so got cut so awkwardly in the editing bay. Whereas in Elvis, I feel like Tom Hanks, I feel like his performance does match the kind of crazy, wacky energy of this film. I feel like his performance matches the tone of this movie, and I thought he was great. And it really made me, because again, I never even, because Tom Hanks plays, I think, his manager, and I guess his manager was a really fucking horrible person and pretty much led to the death of Elvis by how much he overworked him and stuff. And it's damn, it was kind of chilling, to be honest. And I really like that. And even, I think this movie could be up for. I feel like this film could definitely. I think there's a definite. I think there's a very good chance it gets nominated for Best Lead Actor, Austin Butler. Tom Hanks could get in there, maybe, for Best Supporting Actor. And I think it's definitely going to get nominations for, makeup and hairstyling, best sound. Best cinematography is also on the table. There could be some in there for best production design, costume design, but I don't know. The sound mixing in this. Remember how I said, this is one of the many reasons why I really wish the Oscars didn't combine sound editing and sound mixing into one sound category, because Top Gun Maverick and Elvis really show the big difference between the two in terms of sound effects, and in terms of sound effects, Top Gun Maverick excels at that. And then you have sound mixing, and I feel like Elvis is the best in that department of this year so far. So yeah, it's tough. But I will say, now that I've had a chance to marinate on it, I think maybe the ending was a little bit too long. The third act was a little bit too long. It could have been cut down a little bit. But then there's also an argument to be made that, sort of like The Irishman, it feels like, you have this big wave of excitement and youthfulness, and then, once those days are gone, life just kind of slows down. I don't know. I have to let this sink in a bit, but overall, I think Elvis might be my second favorite film of the year. I really loved Elvis. Austin Butler, who knew that the guy who sang badly for his one-footed grandma in iCarly, who knew that he would end up possibly maybe getting an Oscar nomination by next year. I mean, at least I hope he does, or else that prediction is going to be A bad prediction. Regardless, I think that might do it for this video, guys. So yeah, or maybe I'll just cut this up into a bunch of different videos, so we'll have to see how this works out. Regardless, what is your favorite film that came out in 2022 so far? Let me know in the comments below what you think, and if you want to see more, click this.